Okay, so here we are with another Spin Masters DC Batman Bat Tech figure, and this is Deathstroke, the Terminator, who kids growing up in the aughts will remember as Slade from Teen Titans. So, yeah, but they couldn't call him Deathstroke on that show because you can't say the D word. That's too creepy, so we'll just call him Slade. Which, his real name is Slade, so that makes sense. But, anyway, I already talked about this packaging on the Harley Quinn episode, so let's just go ahead and open them up. There's not a whole lot to say about this packaging. It's not that great. It's not that interesting. The back isn't too bad. The back is fine. And like I said, I like that Gotham City imagery. But the front, just nothing really to write home about. It's not the toy maker's fault. It's DC's fault for, trying to make everything as dull as it is. So let's open up the back here. And, well, this is interesting. So here's the same gun that came with Harley Quinn, except for Harley's was red, and this one is orange, and it's that flamethrower-looking gun. So I wonder if there's some significance to that as far as, the storyline of this assortment of toys goes. And again, this middle section is empty, which I thought when I did the Harley Quinn one that the middle section was empty because, the tray ripped open and it just fell to the other side. But no, it looks like all the actual Deathstroke accessories are on this side. So we've got, here's his samurai sword. And it looks like there's two of those, and I'm guessing those are identical. Let's have a look. Yep, indeed, those are both identical. These are about the length that on a modern G.I. Joe figure would be the short sword that comes with Storm Shadow. So, like I said, just samurai swords tend to be kind of short in this line because they wind up packaging them into the little bins. And then this gun here, which also looks kind of flamethrowery, but is also shaped kind of like a shotgun. Slade uses shotguns quite a bit in the comic book, so it makes sense they would want his gun to look somewhat like a shotgun, even though it apparently is supposed to be a flamethrower. So, but it's a neat little gun, and it's the same shade of orange that the more flamethrowery looking gun is. I didn't think to check on Harley as to whether or not she came with a little pamphlet, but I did think about it just now on Slade, and he does indeed. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. Open her up. And we've got a nice picture of the Batcave. You can see the Batmobile, and I think that's a Batcycle type vehicle. I think that's the one that comes in the set with Bane. So, and then Batman and Robin standing there in their weird tech suits with the blue lines all over them that I don't like. So, material finishes Platinum Tech and Biotech, which apparently Platinum Tech is rare and Biotech is super rare. So, that might explain why the Harley Quinn hammer had that sort of iridescent sheen to it. Maybe it's supposed to be like a biotech thing, because that one does look kind of blue and sparkly. So, other figures, lots of different repaints of Batman and Robin, and Deathstroke, and Harley Quinn. So, nothing there that we really didn't know. I still don't know if the bad guys both came with the same flamethrowery looking gun, but in different colors. So, anyway, let's go ahead and take Deathstroke out of the package and have a look at him. Let's see how they did him. These are held into the packages with the rubber bands, but they're actually pretty easy to slip out of the rubber bands, so I don't mind them very much. It's not like how they're a pain in the ass with the Masters Universe Origins. They get stuck in all the joints. I was able to pull him just right out of there. Just right out of the package. Okay, and this is obviously a more modern version of Deathstroke. Again, it's in line with his modern comic book appearances. and he's got the sort of, like, thick, stout proportions that we're used to the male figures in this line having. He doesn't seem quite as overly bulky as, say, Batman or Superman, but he definitely has some heft to him. He's a pretty buff dude. So there are various points of orange throughout the character. The original design in the comic book was a mostly blue outfit where he had orange on one half of his mask, like you see here, and then orange boots, orange gloves, orange trunks, and then orange for the utility belt and things like that. The bandolier that was usually colored orange. So this one cuts down on the orange. Obviously, he has black boots and black gloves instead of orange, but then he's got orange wrist guards, orange shoulder pads, still has an orange utility belt and an orange bandolier, and half of his mask is orange. So orange is one of those colors where like a little bit goes a long way. So I don't really mind that they cut down on the orange on this figure, and obviously they pumped up the black quite a bit. Like you can see that his outfit is kind of like this extremely dark blue. It almost looks black on the camera, but it is, in fact, a very dark blue. Almost like a bluish black. The boots are more sort of a true black, or maybe like a dark charcoal. They don't have that bluish sheen to them. He has a pistol holster over here, but it's just a solid pistol holster. It can't actually hold a pistol. It's just sculpted onto his leg. And in fact, they did something weird here, where like, the pistol holster is actually on the joint, so if you move his leg, it kind of cuts the thing in half. What I might do with this, because it's just the sort of thing that I like to do, is I might actually cut this off of his leg, and Marauder Task Force actually sells an orange holster, so I can get him an orange holster and glue it onto this leg, and that actually can hold a gun. So the sculpting is really nice. There's lots of details to his utility belt, and his armor has like this nice waffle pattern on there, which brings to mind the chainmail that was on the original Deathstroke costume. Deathstroke's original costume was, I think, kind of intended to be like an evil version of Captain America. So like instead of having like a chainmail top with like the stripes in the middle and the white sort of, I guess, sort of spandexy sleeves, Deathstroke had a spandex top with chainmail around the middle. So, and then he had the same sort of boots and gloves that Captain America had, but just in orange. But he still sort of has that Captain America sort of feel to him. Like, you can almost see him as being like an evil version of Captain America. Let's see, this is a separate piece from the rest of the head, the little tassels here, but it seems like it's just glued in. I was kind of hoping it would be articulated and that you could kind of swivel it around for various sort of action poses, but no, it seems like it's just glued into the head, and that's disappointing, because that would have been something that would have been an added feature to the figure. I don't know why they didn't just make it an articulation, because you're already making it a separate piece of plastic. You might as well have just made it some point where you plug it in instead of gluing it in. It seems to me like you'd spend more money gluing it in than plugging it in. And then you would have an extra bit of articulation that the kids could have fun with. Maybe they didn't want it to get lost, I don't know, but it seems to me like this would be the sort of thing most kids wouldn't care about if it got lost. You know, it's not like exactly a deal breaker as far as the design of the character. I kind of feel like it's something that does give him a little bit more flair and makes him a little bit more unique, so I'm glad they included it, but like I said, if the kid wound up losing it, I don't think he would be too broken up about it. So let's go ahead and put the sword in his hand and see how that fits. And he actually does grip this sword very nicely. And unfortunately, like I said, it does look a little short in his hand because of, having to fit it into that package. But it's not like too short. It's not like ridiculous looking or anything. I think it works better than the sword did that came with Robin, or certainly the bow staff that came with Robin. So, and unfortunately, none of these figures have wrist articulation. If he did, that could give you a lot more, posability in terms of the swords. He does have two swords, so you can have him dual wielding those. So that's neat. kind of surprised there were 2 swords in there. So I'm used to just having 3 accessories, but no, they gave you an extra one. He does look pretty cool like that, I will grant you. But I could get a lot better poses if he had some wrist articulation, which unfortunately he does not. And also, speaking of unfortunate with these swords, is like, there's nowhere to store the sword when he's not using it. Like, most action figures have something on the back, like a scabbard or a loop or something, where you can store the sword when they're not using it, but not this guy. So, you just gotta set it aside and hope you don't lose it. So let's go ahead and put the gun in his hand and see how he looks with that. And that looks pretty badass. I like that. And again, if he had some wrist articulation, you could probably get some better two-handed poses out of it. Like maybe actually have this other hand grip the end of the shotgun slash flamethrower slash whatever the hell this is supposed to be. But, you know, I think that's good enough for kids to play around with. They'd probably be fine with that. It's not too different from the vintage G.I. Joes that I grew up with. Those didn't have wrist articulation either, but that's kind of a standard thing in action figures nowadays. And like I said, I know I keep harping on this every time I do a Spin Master review, but I kind of feel like this is, as far as like, you know, rating it as a line, this line's like a 7 or maybe an 8, if I'm being generous. It is a really cool line, but it could so easily be a 9 or a 10 if it just had that wrist articulation. So let's go ahead and go ahead and put him with a sword in one hand and the shotgun in the other. I keep calling it a shotgun, even though it looks more like a flamethrower than a shotgun, but it does remind me of the shotgun that he uses a lot in the comics. So it's the same sort of silhouette to it, I think is the thing. So it looks right, and I still think of it as being a shotgun, even though I think it's a flamethrower. But whatever, I can pretend like it's a shotgun flamethrower combo. I mean, it's a fantasy world. I can do what I want. So, the paint is good. The orange is nice and bright. The dark blue is kind of subtle, and I like that. The kind of dark silver over the chest armor, that looks really cool. It's a very good combination of colors, and I feel like it's fitting for Deathstroke. It definitely it's definitely worthy of the character, you know. And if you're old school like me and you want a more sort of old school look to him, it would be pretty easy to repaint this figure into that color scheme, like put a little more blue on him, given the orange boots and the gloves. It wouldn't be exact, but it would look right. But I wouldn't really bother. I kind of like him like this. But if anybody from Spin Master is watching and you want to put out a variant of Slade where he's, you know, in a little bit more of a Bronze Age first appearance sort of color scheme, I will buy it. My one complaint about the paint scheme of him, though, is that on the side of his mask where he actually has an eyeball, you can see that they just kind of, it's just painted in plain orange and then just has a plain white eye there. Whereas Deathstroke really should have like a black shape around the eye, kind of like Spider-Man. And I think that would be something that would have made this figure a lot better. So, I mean, it's a good figure anyway, but again, it would have been something that would have just taken it up a notch and made it just that much better. So, like on a scale of 1 to 10, this one gets a solid 8. It's a great figure. It could have been an even greater figure, but you know, honestly, at the end of the day, these are ones that are made for kids to play with. So, you know, they probably don't expect anybody to get too analytical about it. And, you know, maybe most kids wouldn't care, but if I was a kid, I would have. That would have been something I would have missed. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe and do all the fun YouTube stuff below. Let me know what you think about this Deathstroke figure, and would you like to see one colored in more Bronze Age colors like I suggest? Would you like to see the swords be longer in this line? I know I would. Would you like to see things like working holsters and sheaths? I know I would. These would be the sort of things that would take this from you know, just that much higher and make it that much better of a figure. So, you know, maybe in the future, we might see something like that. Anyway, Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Bye.